So, after constant changes throughout Cataclysm, and now another big change in Mists, how are Holy Paladins going to play out this new expansion? With our holy power being pushed to the extreme, the ability to bubble like a disc priest and burst like an enraged boss, we'll have to take a look at how our core abilities have changed this time round. But the bottom line is, will we still provide that competitive healing? So let's start off by looking at our talents. On the first tree, I picked Speed of Light, simply because trying out Long Arm of the Law, it wasn't always working because, you need the movement speed increase to run between mobs, and Long Armor of the Law, it required you to be near a mob to get the speed increase, so that wasn't working for me. Pursuit of Justice, I just don't think it's enough speed, so I went with Speed of Light. The level 30 talents I chose Repentance just because I thought it seemed most helpful. I'm not really going to use this slow, and we already have Hammer of Justice. For the next tree I decided to go with Sacred Shield, just because Eternal Flame, it's not really good enough. Light of Dawn is simply too good to be using our holy power on anything else. And Selfless Healer, well, it's a free flash of light but every 15 seconds, so I prefer just to take the healing done from Sacred Shield. For the level 60 tree I chose Unbreakable Spirit. This is purely because we have a glyph called Glyph of Divinity that increases the cooldown of our Lay on Hands by 2 minutes but causes it to give you 10% of your maximum mana. Using Unbreakable Spirit, it will put our Lay on Hands onto a 6-minute cooldown even with that glyph, meaning we should be able to squeeze 2 Lay on Hands and also 20% mana out of it every fight. In the next tree I went with Holy Avenger. This is simply because we can just go Holy Radiance and then do a triple Holy Power Light of Dawn straight after, or Holy Shock and triple Light of Dawn. It is pretty insane amounts of healing coming out from this, and doing this in raids has put me well on over 120k HPS just on the live meter, so that is really nice and probably a bit overpowered. Looking at the level 90 tree, I've not really been able to try these out properly yet, but I think I'll be going with Light's Hammer. Execution Sentence is more single target focused, and Holy Prism, well, I think you'd have to have a pretty well positioned raid for that to be effective. Light's Hammer, it's more AoE focused, but really with Holy Radiance and our buffed Light of Dawn and our Holy Shock now having the ability to AoE, I think Holy Paladins are probably going to be assigned to be more AoE healers. Next up are our glyphs. The first one I like is Glyph of Divinity. This is one I mentioned in our talents earlier that gives us 10% of our mana back every time we lay on hands. That 10 or 20% mana back every fight will help, because I have been having some mana issues. The second one is Glyph of Battle Healer. This basically just causes your melee attacks to heal somebody for 30% of the damage dealt. My weapon's been swinging for about 1.5 to 2k every 1 to 1.5 seconds, so this is easily going to add about 500 HPS, just so you can be weapon swinging and doing a tiny bit of healing at the same time. Pretty helpful. The last two glyphs don't really matter as much, but they will help all the less. Glyph of Avenging Wrath is the first one. This simply heals you for 1% of your maximum health every 2 seconds while it's active. Probably going to help out on the healing a bit during the whole course of a fight. The second one is Glyph of Beacon of Light. This just removes a global cooldown on your Beacon of Light. This could help for fights where you're having to switch it around a bit, as you could just pop in a Holy Shock or a cast straight after beaconing someone. Next we're going to be talking about spells. We're going to start off with our single target healing spells. This includes Divine Light and Holy Light. We also have an inefficient but very quick heal, Flash of Light. This should probably only be used in emergency. Holy Light is our efficient spell. This is a spell that we're going to be looking at spamming more around the raid and switching our beacon to compensate for. It's going to be healing people for about 15% of their maximum health. Flash of Light is quick but very inefficient. This is probably going to be healing people for more about 20 to 25% of their maximum health. Divine Light is slow, powerful, and reasonably inefficient. It's good for periods of heavy damage and will heal somebody for about up to 30% of their maximum health. Another single target healing spell is Holy Shock. This is reasonably cheap, heals about as much as a flash of light and costs about 3% of your maximum mana. It's very efficient and also generates a charge of holy power, not to mention the fact that it's instant cast. This is probably going to be your first priority to keep on cooldown when single target healing. And after casting a Holy Radiance, it can heal up to 70 to 80k AoE as well. Next up is Sacred Shield. It lasts 30 seconds, it costs absolutely no mana and places a bubble on somebody. The bubble will refresh about every 5 seconds and will absorb about 15k. Keeping this up, assuming it's going to be fully absorbed all the time, add about 3k HPS, completely free. Sacred Shield is a very good spell and you should always have it up on a tank. Our final single target healing spell is Word of Glory. This is going to heal for about 10 to 12,000 per charge of holy power, and it will consume up to 3 charges of holy power. Your holy power are generated through various other spells such as Holy Shock, Holy Radiance, and also healing your beacon target with a flash of light or divine light. Last but definitely not least, there are AoE spells. This includes Holy Radiance and Light of Dawn. Holy Radiance you will simply cast on a person and heal everybody around them for a set amount. This amount does diminish depending on how many people are standing within the range. Holy Radiance will also grant 1 charge of holy power. Light of Dawn will heal the 6 lowest health nearby party members for about 4,000 each per charge of holy power. A 3 charge holy power Light of Dawn can heal about 100 to 120k, meaning it's very powerful and more powerful than Holy Radiance. It's also worth mentioning the fact that it's instant cast and costs absolutely no mana whatsoever. Unless you are assigned to single target heal or you really need to use your holy power for other means, you should try to use all of your holy power for Light of Dawn, simply because it just does so much healing. Now up until now, I've always said that healers don't have a specific healing rotation, but Holy Paladins may well be bringing in a sort of rotation now. Now, it's nothing strict and nothing that you have to actually follow to be able to do good healing, but following the right rotation will provide that extra bit of healing per mana, and it will also make really good use of your holy power. Now our first rotation is going to be for AoE, and this is going to be focused more on efficiency. So what we're going to do is cast a Holy Radiance, followed by a Holy Shock and a Light of Dawn. Simple. The reason for this is after casting a Holy Radiance we get a proc on our Holy Shock that causes it to heal all allies within 10 yards of the target. Now if we look here, this proc heals each person for about 20,000. That obviously diminishes, but overall you can end up healing about 70 to 80k with a single Holy Shock. This then gives you 2 charges of holy power, which you can spend on a Light of Dawn, which with 2 charges would generally do about 70 to 80k healing raid buff. Obviously if there was more AoE healing to do, you could always add in another Holy Radiance and do 2 Holy Radiances, Holy Shock followed by a triple holy power Light of Dawn. Now assuming you've specced into Holy Avenger, you should have 4 healing cooldowns. Now there are a few ways you could use these. You could either roll them throughout encounters, such as Ultraxion where there's a constant flow of damage, you could simply use your cooldowns to save mana. Or for fights such as Madness of Deathwing, where you have a lot of burst damage coming in such as the Blistering Tentacles, the Elementium Bolt, and even the big Wormiad slapping down on the platforms. Fights like that, it'd be good to try and use a cooldown every single time a spike of damage comes. And now we have 4 cooldowns, we might just be able to do that. Now our first cooldown is Avenging Wrath, and as all of you probably know, it increases our healing done by 20% for 20 seconds. This is on a 3-minute cooldown. Our second cooldown is slightly more powerful than Avenging Wrath. It increases our haste by 20% and our crit chance by 20% for 20 seconds. Again, it's on a 3-minute cooldown. Now the final 2 cooldowns are what I would consider the most powerful healing cooldowns we currently have. The first one is Holy Avenger. This is new, it lasts 18 seconds and it's a 2-minute cooldown. It increases our healing done by 30% and causes all things that generate holy power to generate 3 charges of holy power. This enables us to do 1 holy radiance, then a triple holy power light of dawn, or holy shock and a triple holy power light of dawn. Our final cooldown is a 5-minute cooldown and it lasts 30 seconds. It causes our next 5 single target heals to pretty much double the amount and split them AoE wide. Every time you heal with a single target spell while Guardian is up, it also increases your haste by 10%, so at the end of the effect you'll have an extra 50% haste to play with. I like to think of a Guardian as more of a tranquility for holy paladins, so it's a button you'd press to prevent a wipe. The next cooldowns we're going to look at are more damage reduction cooldowns. The first one is Devotion Aura. It's on a 3-minute cooldown and it reduces all magic damage taken by 20%, lasting 6 seconds. This is raid wide, so this is best used for when the bolt is going to hit on Madness of Deathwing, or when the blistering tentacles pop up, or when you're going to roll on Heroic Spine. It's all very helpful in these situations. The second one is a personal cooldown. It's called Divine Protection and reduces all magic damage taken by 40% for 10 seconds on a 1-minute cooldown. This again is very helpful in the same situations, and if used with Devotion Aura will provide you with 60% magical damage reduction. Now the final thing I'm going to talk about is Beacon of Light. I know it's not really a cooldown, but it doesn't really fit very well into any of the other sections. Beacon of Light is something that we'll usually be wanting to put on a tank. Anybody that's taking a constant flow of damage will be the best person to place this buff on. Or you can even switch it around the raid to heal people up with Holy Light, which will effectively double the amount of healing done and the efficiency of your Holy Light. It's worth remembering that your Beacon of Light will also heal the person it's on for 15% of your Holy Radiance, Light of Dawn, Light's Hammer and Holy Prism. All other spells including Divine Light, Holy Shock, Word of Glory will heal the beacon target for 50% of the amount healed. So putting your beacon on the right person at the right time can easily account for up to 20 or even 30% of your healing done. That's all I've got for you today on Holy Paladins, guys. Hopefully you understand this because we've just gone through about a whole spec in the last 12 minutes. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.